right, futures are about unchanged here this morning, although we are dipping a little bit. S&P futures right at the VWAP, currently up 0.05%. These are actually off the highs, but still right around unchanged, still hanging on to green. Dow futures actually just turned negative. That's down by 0.05%. Nasdaq also still holding on to green, but barely 0.13% to the upside. All right, let's take a look at some cues from last session here and get you ready for what's going on today. Communication services, consumer discretionary, and information technology stocks recorded the biggest gains on Monday. That led most S&P 500 sectors to close on a positive note. However, materials and real estate stocks bucked the overall market trend and closed the session lower. U.S. stock futures did advance on Tuesday as the Dow, Nasdaq, and S&P 500 indices rose following Monday's higher close. They have since tempered that a little bit. We'll see how it is when it opens. President Trump demanded on Monday that gasoline retailers immediately lower pump prices to around $2.50 a gallon, following a big drop in crude oil prices, warning of, quote, big problems, end quote, for noncompliance. In a Truth Social post, Trump wrote, quote, gasoline retailers must get their prices down immediately in all caps, end quote. He added, there will be no gouging, which is totally illegal. If retailers don't do this, big problems lie ahead. Start targeting around the $2.50 a gallon number, end quote. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.36%, and the 2-year bond was at 4.1%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show markets pricing in a 68.5% likelihood that the Federal Reserve leaves the current interest rates unchanged during the July meeting. Now, we've got several stocks in focus here for you today, and the first one's called Vishay Technologies, I beg your pardon. Not one that we look at often. The ticker is VSH, and it dropped 6.47% in the pre-market on Tuesday as it announced a $750 million offering to accelerate its growth initiatives and reduce debt. Now, the second stock on our list, probably the biggest one for our group here today, it is going to be AeroVironment, and the ticker is AVAV. This is your best-in-breed drone company. It surged 20.14% as it reported better than expected financial results for the fourth quarter of fiscal 2026 after the market closed yesterday. It guided for fiscal 2027 revenue of approximately $2.3 to $2.23 billion, and that was versus an estimate of $2.19 billion. The next stock on our list is going to be Jack in the Box. The ticker is JACK, J-A-C-K. It jumped 7.23% as it successfully refinanced its debt following the issuance of a $500 million note series. The next stock on our list is going to be Nike, and it was 0.19% higher as analysts expected to report earnings of 13 cents per share on revenue of $10.86 billion after the closing bell today. The final stock on our list is going to be Constellation Brands. The ticker is STZ. It was up 0.38% as analysts expect it to report earnings of $3.21 per share on revenue of $2.39 billion after the closing bell today.